and he expects Congress to pass them later this year.
I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have.
Again, and I think it's insulting that
Clinton Jaws. Caroline's back, big K, and she's filled with vinegar. And it's fun to watch, so let's watch. I will say this, I was surprised to see the Associated Press there today because they were banned from the White House for refusing to say Gulf of America. But they're back, and these two get into a sparring match. Man, I would not want to spar with this lady. You wouldn't win, you can't win. How many times do I have to ask you to take the dog for a walk? I've asked 5 times now, all with negative results. I'm assaulted. I'm ashamed. I don't know why. I just like using those words. The dog needs to be walked. He doesn't walk on his own. He needs a human being to walk him. Okay, I'll go take him for a walk. Thank you. She's always got the sweetest voice when she starts out.
How are you? Good. I'll let my staff get settled. There's a lot of news today, so I look forward to taking your questions. Good to see you.
And then she turns into a tiger. Let's start with calling out Washington Post.
And lastly, before I take questions, I would like to commend the Washington Post, who I believe is in the room today. According to a new report from Axios, the Washington Post is overhauling their newsroom structure. It appears that the mainstream media, including the Post, is finally learning that having disdain for more than half of the country who supports this president does not help you sell newspapers. It's not a very good business model.
Jesus. I like Peter, okay? He tries to make a joke here.
Peter Ducey.
Thank you, Caroline. So you said that the Dow dropping and dropping and dropping is a period of transition. You're sure nobody here at the White House shorted the Dow?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. But is there any concern here? President Trump says he's going to buy a Tesla today. Did he buy it? And when is the last time he drove a car?
That's a very good question. I have heard the president remark that he misses being able to drive, that luxury of driving his own vehicle, although the beast is nice, but he is going to be viewing a Tesla that is making its way to the White House complex now, I can confirm. Perhaps the press pool today will have an opportunity to witness this very exciting moment later this afternoon, but Tesla is on its way here now, and we'll see if the president likes it when he checks it out.
So they're bringing him a Tesla to look at, and if he likes it, he's just going to buy it.
You know, he's definitely going to buy one, but he'll take a look at it when it gets here later this afternoon.
Full retail?
Yes, full market price.
Oh, Peter.
Kelly.
Can we talk about Canada? What is the status of President Trump having a conversation with Mark Carney? We have seen the president use the term governor to refer to Justin Trudeau. Will that moniker also go to Mr. Carney going forward? And is the decision to increase the tariffs, is that based on a specific economic metric that he looked at? Is it impulse? How would you describe his reaction to Canada?
The president has not yet spoken to Mr. Carney, not since I checked, which was just moments ago.
What are you waiting for?
But certainly his phone is always open to leaders who wish to speak with him. As for the tariffs, the president made his position on this quite clear with the statement that he put out. And it was a retaliatory statement due to the escalation of rhetoric that we've seen out of Ontario, Canada. The president saw the Premier, Doug Ford, make an egregious and insulting comment threatening to shut down electricity for the American people, for hardworking American families. He made that threat. The president saw that and has an obligation and a responsibility to respond accordingly and represent the interests of the American people. So he has made the decision to add a 25% tariff. So now steel and aluminum tariffs will come into effect tomorrow at the rate of 50%. And our steel and aluminum industries have actually applauded these tariffs because, again, they know it's going to grow their industry here. It's going to allow them to export more steel that is made right here.
13 premiers in Canada. One of them makes this decision, and this is the result. Doug Ford, do you even know what you're doing, man?
Egregious and insulting are your words here, but that's what many Canadian leaders have said about the actions President Trump has taken toward Canada.
Yeah,
and what do you think the timeline is for speaking to Mr. Carney? Because normally a sitting president speaks to a close ally very quickly when there's new leadership.
Pick up the phone, Carney.
The president is, again, responding to the fact that Canada has been ripping off the United States of America and hardworking Americans for decades. If you look at the rates of tariffs across the board that Canadians have been imposing on the American people and our workers here, it is egregious. In fact, I have a handy-dandy chart here that shows not just Canada, but the rate of tariffs across the board. If you look at Canada, since you brought it up, American cheese and butter, nearly 300% tariff. You look at India, 150% tariff on American alcohol. You think that's helping Kentucky bourbon be exported into India? I don't think so. 100% tariff on agricultural products from India. Look at Japan, tariffing rice, 700%. President Trump believes in reciprocity, and it is about dang time that we have a president who actually looks out for the interests of American businesses and workers. And all he's asking for at the end of the day are fair and balanced trade practices. And unfortunately, Canada has not been treating us very fairly at all over the past several decades. To the woman in the purple, because I saw you were making a face at my previous answer, so what's going on?
You got something to say to me? My channel, it's all about honesty, and I found something awesome. Ground News. This place allows me to get it right every time. Check them out for yourself at ground.news/jaws. Recently, Donald Trump and a governor got into a spat over men competing in women's sports.
And enjoy your life after governor, because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
I wanted to know, have the people of Maine had enough of her? Everywhere I looked, it was only the left side praising her. The truth was on Ground News. Finally, a place you can read between the lines of media bias. The great thing about Ground News, it tells you whether a media outlet leans left, right, or center. It gives you a biased distribution, making certain a story is being covered fairly. Ground News allowed me to compare two stories, one from the right, one from the left. And yeah, reading both sides helped me understand the bigger picture. And guess what? I found what I was looking for. Turns out the people of Maine, they signed a petition asking for her recall. This here is the best feature, Blind Spot Feed. It tells you what the media is covering or not covering, and shows you if only one side is covering it. That's weird. Only the left are covering it? Which was my initial issue. Stay informed. Subscribe to Ground News now and get 40% off the Vantage plan, which gives you access to every feature you see here and more. Scan the QR code that you see on the screen or use my link, ground.news/jaws. Support my channel. Do it today. It's the only thing I care about.
Making a face at my previous answer, so what's going on?
Well, actually, I have a couple of questions.
Now she's making jokes.
So are there conversations between the administration and the Canadians going on over this tariff? Because the Ontario Premier says the next step is to cut off electricity to the U.S.
And the president put out a statement after seeing those comments and said that it would be there would be grave consequences imposed on Canada if they think about shutting off electricity for the United States of America and our citizens. And the president is also determined to ensure that we are depending on American electricity, not the electricity production of foreign nations, including our allies in Canada. As for conversations, there is continued correspondence between the president's team, particularly Secretary Lutnick, and the Canadians as well.
Doug Ford put tariffs on 1.5 million Americans, and then Trump said, well, since we're in a war, I'm going to double the steel tariff to all of Canada. 40 million. Canada, you don't stand a chance in this war. Stop fighting it. Figure this out. Carney, you were elected days ago. What are you doing? Get off your ass. The main event, guys. Associated Press. Let's go.
Such waste, fraud, and abuse.
Caroline.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline.
You're welcome.
If we could just step back for a second. When President Trump last addressed the BRT when he was on the campaign trail, his big push was on tax cuts. He's going there today as he's proposing tax hikes in the form of tariffs. And I'm curious for why he's prioritizing that over the tax cuts.
He's actually not implementing tax hikes. Tariffs are a tax hike on foreign countries that, again, have been ripping us off. Tariffs are a tax cut for the American people. And the president is a staunch advocate of tax cuts. As you know, he campaigned on no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security benefits. He is committed to all three of those things, and he expects Congress to pass them later this year.
I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have. They don't get charged on foreign companies. They get charged on the importers.
And ultimately, when we have fair and balanced trade, which the American people have not seen in decades, as I said at the beginning, revenues will stay here, wages will go up, and our country will be made wealthy again. And I think it's insulting that you are trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press.
Get your ass outside and walk that dog, bitch. Love it, guys. Can't get enough of it. This is what I do during the day. I watch TVs. I share it with you. Subscribe. Bye-bye.